The Federal Reserve is evaluating the implementation of central bank digital currency, or CBDC, otherwise also referred to as digital dollars. Although this is still in the research phase, it is clear it will arrive, I have no doubt. Despite the stated goals of the project, which includes consumer privacy, clearly this is headed in a direction which will explode the surveillance level of the population. But I will focus on this with a different angle, something most people analyzing this have not considered, and that is the connection with big tech. I'm not going to just blindly state things that are intended for fear-mongering. I will actually tell you some technological possibilities for implementing CBDC and why it will hurt us. In spite of the promises of the Federal Reserve, the limitations in providing privacy relate to the existing technology, existing laws, and consumer preferences. I believe it will be impossible to implement this without allowing the government and other parties to micromanage our access to money. And with it comes control of access to choices and the ability to express opinions. Big tech is actually a big part of this, not just the banks. Whether we like it or not, we will be zucked, not just by the Federal Reserve and centralized power, but the oligopoly of big tech and society in general. Stay right there for an in-depth overview. Make no mistake, folks, CBDC, or government-controlled digital dollars, will appear soon. And the reason this is pretty much guaranteed is because China is already using CBDC. In China, the use of cash has been squeezed to a minuscule amount. And the common excuse for not accepting cash has been the risk of spreading infection with the exchange of physical paper. So contactless payments are the thing. The idea of contactless payments is big in the US too. In fact, in many stores in my area, Los Angeles, do not accept cash at all. Here's a typical sign you see. But regardless of the consumer trend towards cashless payment, the real driver of the move to CBDC is the threat of China's dominance in the financial world. So the dollar must compete. I imagine this is the primary incentive. And many countries are also considering the creation of CBDC. So this is a worldwide trend. So the government will not accept that the USA would fall behind. Now, there are stated goals in the implementation of CBDC by the Federal Reserve, which is our central bank. And I'll just list some key ones that we can focus on. Number 1, enhance, not replace, existing payment systems. Number 2, consumer privacy. Number 3, protect against criminal activity. So the intent of CBDC under the current projected plan is to come up with an alternative currency system and not necessarily to obliterate cash. Let's just examine that for a moment. Currently, cash is down to 20% of all transactions in the US. That's down from 40% pre-pandemic. In value, cash is only 6% of the total transaction value. But that makes sense. Cash is used for daily small transaction use, and we don't pay our mortgage in cash. However, the reality is that a new generation of young people do not feel that there is a risk in not having a cash option. Many young people do not carry cash at all. They are completely cashless. They will not support businesses that accept only cash. Then, this contactless trend is providing friction on cash at the merchant side. Cash allows merchants to hide money from taxation, but cash requires more security, plus the supposed risks of infection. So I will state this as a reality. When CBDC is implemented, expect that this society will deliberately limit the acceptance of cash, even without government mandate. It's unfortunately the product of obsession with mobile devices.
He expects the surveillance aspect will matter less to him.
就是你的便利和被监控的部分，它一定是会被让渡的。因为我觉得我的消费习惯已经被培养了之后，其实我很难摆脱这样的更便捷的支付方式吧。
The choices of many will override the rest of us that understand the privacy risks inherent in eliminating cash. So this is my big fear. Once you offer the option, society will choose the direction and it will not be a well thought out one. The next stated goal of the Federal Reserve that I want to focus on is the supposed interest in consumer privacy. I will tell you right now that this is just feel-good talk. There are laws that make this impossible. The main laws that affect financial transactions has to do with KYC, or Know Your Customer laws, which is a product of the 9/11 era. The world of surveillance. There are some other details here you need to understand about how they are thinking of implementing CBDC. Likely CBDC will be implemented using the infrastructure of the existing banks and financial institutions. CBDC, though, unlike other forms of money like bank deposits or credit lines, will not have any cost, any interest, and any credit risk. But here's the first gotcha. You can't transact anything with any bank, with any app or paper method without full KYC. You will need to submit government identification, social security numbers, current addresses, bank accounts, and so on. So the term consumer privacy is a misnomer here because it is not intended to stand for what you think. It is not intended, as I interpret it, to hide your transactions from the financial system. It is intended to prevent a third party like the merchant or a hacker from examining your transactions. Well, that is not my idea of privacy. Privacy to me is like cash. I hand you cash, you take it. There's no record. No one knows what happened to it. Well, that will never happen here. It's impossible on so many fronts. Let me explain the Chinese model of the digital yuan. This is not necessarily the way it will be implemented in the US, but I'm just going to state it for comparison. The digital yuan is completely centralized, meaning all transactions are accounted for to every citizen who uses it, with all the corresponding detail of where it was spent. The digital yuan relies on the central computer of a communist country. Now, the government did use an existing infrastructure to implement the digital currency, and that is by inserting the module for accepting or making payments on the Chinese WeChat app, which is owned, by the way, by the company Tencent. This is a documented fact. The WeChat app is censored, monitored, and analyzed by the CCP. So if your social score in China reflects some risk to the Chinese government, then obviously retaliation is easy to do. Shut down your WeChat, and basically you have no money, especially if no one wants to take cash. Some have said that the danger to digital currencies is that the government can put limits on your wallet. They could put restrictions on access to your money. For example, they could expire your money. They could limit what you could spend. All this is a reality at the level of the central bank. But they don't even need to do that, since it is easier to just control you at the app level. No access to the app means no money. This is exactly the basic scenario that will face us if we use apps in existing tech ecosystems, like Apple Pay, for example. Access will be controlled, but access will be controlled beyond just the government. Access can be controlled by the big tech company supporting the app. You remember how some politically controversial platforms were banned access from MasterCard, Visa, and American Express, right? Well, this will be on steroids, since disabling access to your account by some big tech provider will definitely get access to tools to disrupt these platforms. And they can disrupt individuals. You see, this is going to get complicated. It isn't just that the Federal Reserve authorizes some wallet app, let's say created by some government contractor. The wallet app has to operate within the confines of accepted operating systems and devices. So this would require people to carry only accepted iPhones and Androids. What about the Google phones? What about standalone electronic wallets? What about something portable similar to cash? Understand the effects here. A wallet app will be identified in the iOS and Google Android ecosystem with an Apple ID, Google ID, secured by additional biometric methods like Apple Pay, Face ID. Did you notice the increasing ads for Apple Pay lately? They want to be big in the space, it would seem. Maybe they're seeing what I'm seeing. So my point is that you cannot separate the wallet app, even if it is federally approved, from the ecosystem of big tech devices. This is true even today. I had an issue with my Amex card, for example, and I couldn't even easily communicate with them using a computer. They forced me to use a mobile app that had bugs on a Google phone. If a federally approved CBDC wallet had a bug on a Google phone, it would not be supported. Assuming even that they would allow it to work. Probably not, because likely on Android, they will require additional security using Google features like Google Safety Net and so on, which are actually Google surveillance features. And these do not work on the Google phone. Not to exclude Apple Pay in this, which is also capable of the same surveillance. Now, if we're more tied to the same mobile devices that I have tons of videos about, explaining the dangers, then how is it possible for consumer privacy to be enhanced on devices that track our every move even today? And this is before CBDC. One of the technologies that can be implemented on a federally approved CBDC app is the blockchain as applied to a personal digital wallet. I'm not talking about a global blockchain like Bitcoin, which requires a worldwide decentralized infrastructure. But the reason a blockchain-based CBDC wallet would be of value is that it could allow you to process things offline. Meaning if the internet is down, the transaction could be stored in the blockchain and later verified in the financial systems once you gain an internet connection. Theoretically, doing microtransactions at the blockchain level could allow a user to dispense with providing details to the financial systems, because it could just matter that you spent $556.20 in total and not necessarily what some of it went to, like the market, your friend, the train, Uber, or a restaurant. However, I don't believe this is the kind of consumer privacy they will offer. And the reason I don't believe that is once again because of the stated goals, which includes preventing criminal activity. Let me expand on this. A truly digitally safe wallet would be open source, for one, that can be compiled safely and operate independently from the OS maker or the Federal Reserve. The wallet would have to be portable, meaning if the wallet is stored on your computer, it has no identity and it can be moved around to other computers. There are many ways to do this, and in fact, this is the way most cryptocurrencies work. By the same token, though, someone could steal the device that has the wallet, and in theory, you will lose your money just like someone stealing cash. And although this is the safest for privacy, I'm afraid the consumer isn't going to accept that. I can just see that people demand certain capabilities. Like be able to restore their wallet if they forgot their password by supplying KYC information to some central tech support of the Federal Reserve. Like being able to reverse transactions caused by illegal activity from someone stealing their digital wallet. Like demanding that devices have extremely sophisticated Find My Phone features, like Apple's capability to find an iPhone even with the power off using Apple Mesh Network and Bluetooth Low Energy. In other words, the consumer will demand surveillance and monitoring capability. I'm not even yet at the point of saying that government will demand surveillance capability. I'm already saying that consumer expectations will demand this. Let's examine the blockchain wallet concept again. Yes, having a blockchain wallet could allow transactions to occur without an internet connection. But I guarantee that based on consumer expectations, this will be used only for temporary periods and for limited amounts. It would be expected that the wallet app would upload the blockchain transactions to the financial system, all complete with KYC identification. And the purpose of this is that if passwords are lost or digital wallets are stolen, that it will be possible to reverse it, recreate the wallet, and restore the funds. And that is only possible if the central repository has the financial detail. You see what I'm saying here? The consumer will demand full surveillance. So, CBDC is not just a government problem with potential control. It's a society problem, with people forcing the use of CBDC by not willingly accepting cash, and then forcing people to use only devices that can function in the expected convenient ways. Unfortunately, this convenience empowers not just the Federal Reserve, which will have an extreme handle on every citizen, but so will big tech, who will be right in the middle of this. And guess who empowers this? You, us, all the people who choose to be enslaved by these mobile devices. I know the stated goal is for government not to eliminate cash, but it won't matter if the merchants don't accept cash. Now a big chunk of the population, especially those who are poor, are bankless, and even those that have a bank account are using check cashing services and operate with cash. To be honest, they are the ones that will suffer the most, all at the expense of convenience. Likely cash will operate underground. In a way, it will be like an illegal drug trade, secret transactions with a premium for using cash. This is not something the Federal Reserve can control. This will result from the foreseen lack of access to cash acceptance, controlled by supply and demand. Now, the idea of a wallet has some secondary implications here for privacy. Because the digital wallet is tied to KYC and basically a central authority that can control it, the digital wallet will be a new form of ID. Basically, we will have an even more invasive ID on top of the real ID today, which is already a horrendous breach of privacy with its RFID capabilities. But remember that this digital wallet will be tied to the infrastructure of Apple and Google. And with the idea of this robust ID comes other derived IDs that can match to it, like the Apple ID and the Google ID, and of course, the corresponding biometrics. This is cementing the reality that our mobile phones will be actual chips. They're practically embedded in our bodies then, since we will not be able to function in this world without a mobile phone present. Without it, we have to function in the future seedy underground world of cash. Reminds me of some cyberpunk game. To frame what I'm saying in a big picture concept from someone who understands the technology in a deep way, I'm not sure how CBDC can be implemented without tying it into the current surveillance economy technology that we all use today. The bulk of the normies see no danger. The likelihood of open source alternative wallets in portable devices is low. I think the idea of control will appeal to government in a big way. Think about it. Not only can the iPhone host the wallet, it will know every aspect of your life, your locations, your contacts, your phone history, your messages, your photos. CBDC. What a great thing to look forward to. Another amazing new tech innovation. Not. My company offers products that are designed to promote your privacy from digital surveillance. There's Bytes VPN, a metadata-free email Braxmail, and the Brax2 privacy phone. All these products are on my app, BraxMe. The link is in the description. I'm on other platforms. I'm on rumble.com and Odysee.com. In case I get the platform, please follow me on these platforms. The links are in the description. I also have a new membership plan here on YouTube. If you subscribe to the membership plan, then you will be able to participate in members-only chat, so you can have a private Q&A, plus other benefits, including emojis and so on. So please subscribe and help the channel. I appreciate it very much. Thank you for watching and see you next time.